Lessons from Geese. Author unknown. As each goose flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the birds following. By flying in a V formation, the entire flock increases the flying range by 70%. People who share a common direction and sense of community are able to reach their destination quicker and easier because they are traveling on the thrust of one another. Whenever a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the resistance of flying alone and quickly rejoins the formation, taking advantage of the lifting power of the birds flying in front. If we have as much sense as a goose, we will stay in formation with those headed for the same destination and be willing to give and accept help. When the lead goose tires, it rotates back into the formation and another goose flies to the point position. It pays to take turns doing the hard task and sharing leadership. With people as with geese, we are interdependent. The geese in formation honk from behind to encourage those up front. We need to make sure our honking from behind encourages, not discourages. When a goose gets sick or injured, two geese drop out of formation and follow to protect and stay with the goose until it is able to fly again. Then they launch another formation. If we have as much sense as geese, we too will stand by each other in difficult times as well as when we are strong.
What may often appear to be circumstance or coincidence can easily morph into fate. The story you are about to see proves that in a manner which is downright surreal. A horrible accident forever changing a young life. Two people separated by the better part of a century. And the confluence of chance, now certainly seen as fate, that put them together at the absolutely perfect moment. The story Outside the Lines is told in the voice of one of the principals.
I've run 50 marathons. I've biked more than 350,000 miles. My name is Bill Hansberry. People here in Florida call me Boston Bill. I'm 72 years old, and today I'm running a road race with my friend Jake.
My name's Jacob Baynard and I'm 10 years old. Boston Bill is my friend.
Jake and I share something special. We share a bond. Almost 3 years ago, at this corner in St. Petersburg, Florida, I crossed paths with Jake and his family.
Our meeting with Bill, I believe, was not by chance. Our human timing is not that perfect. When Jake was trying to learn to crawl,
you're trying.
Oh, he would get on his hands and knees and rock back and forth. And he had the look of determination in his face.
He was a normal little boy in every facet and just proved to give me a little run for my money to keep him out of mischief.
There are no guarantees in life, trust me, I know. On April 4th, 2004, when Jake was 3 years old, the Bainters learned that for themselves.
It started off as a normal work day for my wife and I. She went to work. I have a home office. At roughly 3 o'clock, I chose to mow the yard. As I passed Jake out at the driveway, I waved.
I was riding a bike, then I got off it and went to ask Dad something. And he didn't hear me and he was backing up.
At that time, I felt something underneath the lawnmower that I did not feel moving in the forward direction.
He ran out for me.
I looked down and underneath the mower deck, I saw the upper torso of Jake sticking out of the mower deck. At that time, I somehow managed to pick the lawnmower up and off of our son.
I pick up the phone and Brett is screaming into the phone. Like different than anything I'd ever heard before. And he said, I've done something terribly bad. I've done something, the worst thing a dad could ever do. That's what he kept saying to me. He's like, I've done the worst thing a dad could ever do.
his whole right side of his leg was gone. The muscle, the tissue, and his toes were gone. I just knew we were in for a long, long journey. So over the course of the next 4 years or so, Jake had about 16 surgeries.
Don't do that again.
After surgeries, I always had a brace or a cast. I used wheelchairs and I had a walker.
Here it comes.
I couldn't ride a bike. Couldn't run.
It provided Jake uneasiness to participate in sports or activities because of the thought of someone hitting or touching or damaging his right leg. We'll put him in the jar.
He couldn't do a lot of things that a little boy should be able to do.
Down is the hard one. Good job. Good job. Good job. Yay!
His parents faced a life-altering decision.
How do you tell a kid that, you're thinking about cutting off a portion of his leg?
Amputation. I didn't want to talk much about it, and I made it very clear that I did not want to talk about it. I wanted him to have his own leg.
We'd asked every question, we'd done all our homework. Up until the moment of his appointment, we were still questioning ourselves.
They found the answer at the intersection of 3rd Street and 6th Avenue on the day of Jake's surgery, February 19th, 2008. They found me. Until then, I was not a big believer in fate. I started off that morning to ride, and I realized I could not unclick from my pedals. And I knew I had to because I was coming up to a red light about 150 yards down the road. If you don't get out of the cleats, then you can tip over. So I yelled to a couple of friends what the problem was. With great effort, they got the cleats out of the pedals. Now, I have used these for years, and it had never happened before.
I was riding to the hospital, and we saw him on the side of the road. So we pulled over and met him.
3 years ago, I lost my leg to a staph infection. They took it on my 70th birthday.
We told him that this little boy was going into surgery in less than 4 hours to have his right leg amputated.
I talked to him about what was happening to me. He was 7, I was 70. And I thought, as soon as he's got that surgery behind him and he has that leg with him, he's going to be in good shape. I told him my amputation hasn't slowed me down, not one bit. I ride my bike every day. I ride about 230 to 250 miles a week. And I run anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week.
So he wasn't just an amputee, he was an amputee who was living life, fully functional, all the things that we wanted for our son. And so he was the perfect example of final validation for us.
2 days after Jake's amputation, I came to check on my new friend.
After he saw Jake, he goes, "Here's what you don't know about our meeting."
I got back on my bike and I clicked back into those pedals. I was not thinking about the pedals or why I had stopped. I was thinking about that little boy. But the pedals worked fine. They have worked fine ever since.
To this day, I believe that was somebody else making that appointment, setting that appointment up.
Now when you come over the top, keep your foot in there. That's it. Since that day, nearly 3 years ago, we have grown extremely close. I love you, okay? The biggest thing that I saw happen with Jake, and I likened it to when you see a tree and it has some dead limbs on it and the tree is never growing. When that limb was removed, it was amazing how Jake just grew up.
It's cool to be different than everybody else. Now I can run a lot faster.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's limp.
He's really helped Jake encourage him as an amputee because Bill understands about what Jake's potential is.
You don't have to beat me.
And he pushes Jake to try and do more than maybe he would.
Between us, Jake and I have only 2 healthy legs to stand on, and that suits us just fine.
Jake's now beginning the 4th grade. He's begun also playing in a sled hockey league, and Bill Hansberry operates the Boston Bill Foundation, which raises money to assist amputees in purchasing prosthetic limbs.